Hey everyone, Ben the Bar Guy back with another video to help you make better drinks at home. Today we're going to be going over how we make great drinks, the tips, tricks, techniques that the trade uses in order to make great cocktails and what we do here at Reliable Tavern. And if you haven't seen it, we've already gone over the why in previous videos, what motivates you to make a great drink. We've gone over what a great cocktail is as far as ingredients, historically, philosophically, and today it's about how we get great drinks. So sit back, let's learn some tricks, grab yourself a cocktail, let's make better drinks. Hey everyone, Ben the Bar Guy, and this video is about how we make great drinks. And it's really just a bunch of tips, techniques, things that we've learned over the years on how to make drinks efficiently and effectively. The order of operations at Reliable Tavern was based on the order of operations at Milk and Honey a long time ago in New York City in the early 2000s. And my mentor, Sasha, Petraske, that was his bar. He would work pretty much by himself, building rounds, and he found that he could get more and more efficient with an order of operations. And some of his bartenders that came after him, who still operate the space today, they really built out this order of operations over time to make them efficient in making perfect, beautiful looking cocktails. And it became the process by which any bar that had trained under my mentor, Sasha, started to think about how to build rounds. And I think for you guys, it will absolutely be useful. So here we go. The order of operations at its absolute core is about efficiency and durability. And those two things playing off each other. What is durability? Durability is how long a cocktail can last in front of a guest before becoming either too warm, if it's an up drink, or too diluted, if it's on ice. Now the order of operations breaks into two sections. Because we follow ice last bartending, it breaks down into a measuring section and the order in which we measure, and then it breaks into a shaking section after that with ice. And we always add ice at the last possible moment after everything is measured. So it's very important. Measuring, then ice. Never add your ice to anything. Keep it in the freezer until you're ready to shake. Very important. Step one. All right, let's talk about measuring. So here at Reliable Tavern, we do something called graduated cylinder training. And we are always testing our jiggers and how we're measuring with graduated cylinders to see if both the bartender is measuring accurately to begin with, but then after they're shaking, they're adding exactly the amount of water that we need them to add depending on the style of the drink. Right off the bat, if I were training a bartender, I would have a tens out and I would say, I want you to measure me 3/4 of an ounce into each tin, and then I want you to put it in the graduated cylinder and see if you're at 22 mils, somewhere between 21 and 23 mils. And then we would start building drinks. I'd say, okay, pretend like you're measuring a Collins, and I want that to be between 100 and 110 mils. Once we get measuring down, they become extremely efficient because every drink is within a range, and we give about a 10 mil range on a finished cocktail so that you can be off on your measurements a couple milliliters, but not more than that on each measurement. Measuring is really the mark of a great bartender. The order of operations is very specific by the order in which they measure, and the order in which they measure is really about cost. So we like to measure citrus first, then sugar, and then we measure modifying spirits like vermouth or amaros, and then we measure liquor. Then we bitter and we cut garnish. We call that horizontal drink round building. Many people make the mistake of building one drink, then they build their second drink, and then they build their third drink. But the problem is a lot of those ingredients will be the same thing. So you will be picking up bottles and or carafes of juice or syrup more than once, and you don't need to do that. So the most efficient way to build a round when you have a 5-drink round is to put lemon in this one, lemon in this one, and lemon in this one, and then put down a lemon and never pick it up again. So very important, build horizontally, build all of your citrus, all of your sugar, all of your modifiers, then all of your liquors, then your bitters, garnish. Now what? Well, now we're on to the shaking part of the order of operations. You want to make sure everything can be done before you add ice, because ice acts like a wick on a bomb, okay? And if you add ice to something, it immediately starts melting, which is dilution, which we really want to control. Okay, temperature and dilution are really important. You want to make sure nothing is melting before it has to, before you want it to. So keep everything in the freezer as far as ice goes until you're really ready. Okay, now we're on to the second half of the order of operations, and that has to do with icing and shaking. Okay, the shaking part of the order of operations is all about getting all of the drinks out at their optimal temperature based upon their durability or how long they can sit out before getting too warm or too diluted. The most durable thing you can have on your bar is something like a neat whiskey, and then probably like, I don't know, a draft beer or something. So when we do the order of operations, the first thing we would do is pour neat whiskeys. We get them up on the service bar, waiting for the rest of the drinks to come out, as well as beer and wine, okay? Ideally, your service helper, either your server or another bartender, would be helping you pour those things. And then we get to cocktails, all right? The first cocktail you wanna do is always your stirred up drinks. You wanna ice the glass. So when we make a stirred up drink, a Manhattan, a martini, okay? Any drink that's gonna go up, we have a chilled glass like this. So it takes a while if you use a chilled glass. So here at Reliable Tavern, we always crack ice first here just to get it going, because it's gonna take about 5 minutes for those to actually, if it's in a chilled glass, to actually get diluted properly. The next drink we always do is Collins style drinks, and that's because not only are they shaken, but they're also on ice finished, and then they also get soda, or basically more bubbled water, added to them. So dilution there is far more acceptable than in other drinks. So the durability of that drink, we would say, is higher than other drinks. So we want to shake Collins drinks first, okay? The next drink I would personally do would probably be a stirred down drink. So if I had a Negroni in the round, or if I even had an old fashioned, I would probably make those drinks right now, pour them over the chilled glass, or in a case of an old fashioned, we don't chill the glass, but over the rock, and then I would garnish and I would set those up on the service bar. The third level would be our shaken down drink. Our shaken down drinks, Gold Rushes for instance, we shake those and we add about a ½ ounce to 3/4 of an ounce of water. And we want it to be a little bit hot because it's gonna be sitting on that service bar. You don't wanna add too much water with the shake, and that ice cube is gonna help you add water and chill the cocktail down. So really, ½ ounce is ideal, maybe a 3/4 and it'll be okay. But the drink, when you straw taste that, should taste hot. It shouldn't be spot on yet because it's going up on the service bar and you have more drinks to make, okay? The next drink I would be making would probably be your cracked ice drink, like your Fix or your Caipirinha. Those drinks have a little bit more durability, but the ice, again, because it's cracked up or on crushed ice, starts to melt pretty quickly. If I have a cracked ice drink, I would shake and dump into the glass like a Caipirinha, and I would put that up now, but I wouldn't shake much water into it if I could, just to get it a little chilled. That's it. Really don't want to add too much water because it's going to be sitting on that bar a little bit longer. Now here's an important point. Crushed ice at your bar may not be completely dry if it comes out of a freezer. It's one thing, but that's tough. Crushed ice tends to glue together in freezers, so most people have wet crushed ice. You could do it here, but depending on your bar, you may want to move your crushed ice drink to the back of this particular order of operations just because it melts so fast sometimes at certain bars. Just keep that in mind. So move that crushed ice around if you need to in your order of operations at your bar or even at home. If your crushed ice is wet, make it later in the round. Next up are the two most important and least durable cocktails, and that's all of your shaken up and your stirred up drinks. At this point, you want to straw taste your stirred drink. If you have a shaken drink next to it, you don't want to shake quite yet. You need to straw taste this. I really want you guys to focus on getting this drink to about 90% done. Your shaken drinks really should come out at the same time we're straining our stirred drink, okay? It should look like this into glasses, okay? At the same time. But you can only do that if you've gotten this drink, this stirred drink, to about 90% done, so that then you can go and shake this drink and get it to the point where you can strain it. If you're finding the timing is wrong on this drink and it's getting too diluted before you get to this point in the round, then you need to make this drink a little bit later than first, like we did. We're doing our shaken drink, then our stirred drink, and we really, ideally, if there's just one of each, we'd want to be straining them at the same time. If we had 2 shaken drinks, we would shake both of those, hoping that this is ready to go. Maybe even, ideally, with a strainer on it. Glass up, ready to go. Obviously chilled. These aren't chilled like we would here at Reliable. But let's say we had 2 strain cocktails, right? We just got done shaking them. We popped them. We've got 2 strainers here, right? Straining into the cocktails like this, right? That's done. Put these down, and then this gets strained now, right? We already done our garnish. We've garnished, and these drinks are up, right? That is the order of operations, okay? Based on durability and efficiency. And if you watch somebody who knows the order of operations in and out, it is a beautiful sight. They look like machines. I highly recommend going to see Attaboy or the bars that came up with this order of operations in the first place. They kill it. They're so fast. Mastered this order of operation. I can't tell you how important it is to think about the order in which you do things. But let's move on. What else makes you a great bartender? And I'll tell you one thing, it's understanding wash line. And this is really important. Wash line is how far up a drink comes on the glass, okay? And wash line is important for a number of reasons. One, we don't want the guests spilling on themselves. Now this is just water and bitters to show you, and let's pretend this was a stirred up cocktail like a Manhattan. We see all of these are pretty much the same wash line in terms of whether the guest is gonna spill on themselves if they pick it up. And that really is our rule. Is the guest gonna spill it if they pick it up? No, okay, we're good. Yes, well, maybe that's a high wash line. All these wash lines look pretty similar, right? Do you think it's the same amount of drink in all of these? What do you guys think? Yep, no, not even close, okay? So this short glass was about 130 milliliters, about what we need for typical daiquiri, okay? And this right here was only about 100 mils. That's barely enough for a stirred up drink. So that's a danger glass for sure, because if you stir anything, it's probably gonna fill that up a little bit too high. This glass and this glass look taller, okay? But the glass here is the same amount almost as this guy, okay? This is 2 ounces more water. In this case, pretend Manhattan. That is a lot. In our parlance, we break cocktails down at Reliable into cocktail-sized glassware, and we have 4 different sizes. We would have a stirred drink, a daiquiri glass. This would also fall into a sour glass because it has enough room for egg white. And then this is our sparkling cocktails. Sparkling cocktails, we like to be closer to 200 milliliters. That's what this was. This is 200 milliliters to this is about 137, 140-ish. You really got to know your glassware and wash line. But let's say we're just working with 1 glass, okay? And we're gonna pretend like this Manhattan was beautifully made, and we like this wash line. I think that wash line is good. I can handle this glass and not spill it on myself, even if I've had a drink or 2. I go to straw taste this as a bartender. I'm like, I like that wash line, but did I make it right? Okay, straw taste. If I straw taste this drink and it has the right wash line, but it tastes watery, I know something now. What did I do wrong? See if you can guess it. Stop the video and see if you can guess. Again, the wash line is spot on. It came up to where I think it should on the glass, but when I tasted, it tastes watery. What do you think's wrong? I hope you figured it out. If this is watery, but the wash line is right, that means I added too much water, but I probably under measured. So that's a problem. That drink is unservable most likely. Now, I obviously would, at that point, having under measured, I would start paying attention to my measuring from there, right? So every drink you make, you're making small incremental improvements to the next drink, okay? You never stop improving as a good bartender. Every drink, you're a little bit better because you straw tasted your last drink. Let's give you another circumstance. Let's say this wash line is spot on again, that's good, but I taste it and it's boozy, it's strong, there's not enough water in it, it's not balanced. I likely have over measured. Now you're not stealing from your guests like you were in the last example, you're stealing from your owner. You don't want to do that either. Good bartenders don't do either, right? Let's say the wash line's a bit high. I can probably still serve that. Hey, Ben over here, I'm serving him, he's not gonna spill that. If you have a high wash line, you know it's high, and you taste it, and it's balanced, what do you think went wrong? A high wash line that's balanced means you just over measured a little bit. Again, stealing from your owner. Pay attention to your jigger. Maybe your jigger's off. Maybe you need to look at the line a little better. Let's go through this again. What if you taste this high wash line and it tastes a little watery? What's wrong? That means you over stirred, and maybe you need to move where you added ice to the glass in your order of operations so as not to add too much water the next time. And then the question is it still in range? Can you still serve this drink, or is it too watery? Or you got to start over and make the drink again. Let's go the opposite way. Rather than high wash lines, let's say we have a low wash line. Let's say you taste it and it tastes perfect. It tastes great. Well, what happened? Well, now we're back to stealing from your guest. You under measured probably, okay? And then the next time you need to pay more attention. And I'll tell you right now, when you're using a jigger, oftentimes, if you're under measuring like that, you're getting small wash lines, little hint, you might be leaning the jigger like this to look at the lines inside, right? You might be peeking down at the lines and moving the jigger towards this way. And I'll tell you why that's insidious. It's insidious because you're showing the guest inside that you're under measuring even though you're not, and you think you're over measuring because you're turning the jigger this way. You would be doing the opposite if you did this. You really need a level jigger. So check your level jiggers. If you have this issue, you're always getting short wash lines. Let's say you have a wash line that's low. You go to straw taste and it tastes boozy. Well, what happened then? You got to start all over for sure because you've somehow not added enough water and you have a low wash line. That means you were way off. You probably have forgotten an ingredient. I would just start over. So let's do another example. You have a cocktail that, again, has a low wash line. You straw taste it, and it's boozy. Well, that's pretty straightforward. You have a low wash line because you didn't add enough water to the drink. It needs to stir longer. In this case, in your order of operations, move your stirred drink to the very beginning and maybe stir a little longer. Before you do your shake and drink, stir it again. Make sure it's really at 90% before you serve it, and then you won't have this problem. The really insidious one is if you have a short wash line and you taste it and it's watery. It's not boozy at all. Well, that's not a water problem. You've probably forgotten an ingredient, and that's an issue. You probably want to start over in that case. I have yet to find a cocktail that's within range to serve to a guest in that circumstance. So I hope you guys understand wash line and how important it is and how it really determines how you get better from drink to drink. So always straw taste is the message, and then look at wash line to find out what you did wrong. The last thing I will say about how we do what we do is we have good tools. Always have accurate jiggers. Always check your jiggers with a graduated cylinder, and I'll put links in the description for these. They're very inexpensive, but really important to getting better at bartending. And if you use jiggers and check yourself with graduated cylinders, you're always going to be accurate. I also recommend ice picks. If you're using big ice, you can trim corners of ice cubes off to fit in glasses. I recommend getting good spoons with paddles. Links in the description for these to then get around big ice cubes when you're stirring. Good peelers are essential. This OXO peeler is a favorite of mine. It's very sturdy. They last a long time. You really get good thick peels with them. But essentially you need to have good tools in order to be a good craftsman. There's no such thing as a craftsman with bad tools. So you're only as good as your tools. Go out and spend a couple extra dollars, but don't go crazy. You don't need the most expensive tools. What you really need is just tools that function. Function is beauty in this case. A bartender really is only as good as his tools. There's a famous story of a bartender who showed up for an interview at one of the world's famous modern cocktail bars, and they showed up without tools, and the head bartender said, well, where's your tools? And the bartender said, well, I thought I would just show up and the bar would have them for me. The bar manager said, well, go home. When you go get tools, come back and I'll train you. And that literally was the bar manager's first day of training. Send bartenders home who don't understand that they're exercising a craft now. And it was a mindset change. Lesson 1 that day was change your mindset. You are now a craftsman. And I can't tell you, 30 years ago, that was a big deal. Most bartenders had become a little sloppy. They didn't like jiggers. And while they might have been personable, they might have been able to make lots of money, and they might have had a lot of regulars, they weren't very accurate, and they weren't making great drinks. So The first lesson was become more like a chef in the sense that you measure accurately, take care of your craft. Like a good new line cook rolls out their brand new knives, even if they're just gonna be cutting carrots their first day in the kitchen. They just wanna show everybody that they're on point, they got their tools, and they're ready to do whatever's after them. Same should be true of the bartender. Come into work with your tools, ready to go, and act the part. Act like a craftsman. Know your tools, know what you like to use, and don't expect the bar to supply them for you. Those are how we do great things here at Reliable Tavern. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you're making better drinks. And like always, today, to better drinks, but I'm just gonna do a shot with you guys because we didn't have any drinks made today. So, to better drinks, thanks guys. And subscribe if you like what you see. We'll see you soon. All right, bye. Hey guys, before you go, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my employer, where I'm the general manager of Reliable Tavern in Petworth, Washington, D.C., where we do all these videos and trainings for bartenders just like the ones we're doing on these YouTube videos. And you also can get our products on DC to Go, a local company that also is great. It doesn't take too much for us to get delivered items to you, mostly cocktails to go. And so if you guys want to reach out and order, I will put the links to the website and a link to DC to Go, where you guys can get our stuff in the DC area. We've always believed at Reliable Tavern that a great tavern should be commonplace, not hard to find. If you guys have time or if you're in the area, come check us out at Reliable Tavern. Thank you guys for watching the video. And like always, to better drinks. See you guys.